And I'm really passionate about this topic today, the power of young people, the power of youth, the power of us. I would like to include myself there if you'd allow me. And I think that in the little bit of work that I do in the social impact space, it's just so incredible that I get a chance to even be with you on today. My role is really simple, is to get you through the next hour. So please be comfortable, get a cup of coffee or tea, water, whatever is going to help you to relax and listen. Have a notebook close by and take some really notes that can really help you even going beyond the not here physically with us in Zoom. I believe you are there with us on YouTube. So welcome to you as well. So before I introduce you to our speakers, there are some things to remember. Your cameras and microphones will be off for the duration of this call. It is a webinar. And if you'd like to ask a question, we have a team of people who are eager to help you. So just go to the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen and you can type your question and we'll either respond to you directly or we will address it later on the Q&A section of this call. So a reminder that the webinar is being recorded. It's really helpful that it is being recorded and will be available after the call. So anything you did not get to write down or make a note of or did not get to ask, there will be a recording that you can go revisit. And when we are finished, please remember to answer the survey questions. We do need that feedback as well. As you know, we always want to improve the work that we do here and making sure that we can be of service to you in a better way and a bigger way next time. So yeah, I'm hoping that you are feeling excited and you're really keen to be here. A little bit about my background. I've been working in this space now since 2016. And it really just fuels my energy. It gets me excited. You know, when they talk about having that little baby inside of you that jumps up and gets excited every time, that is why I do this work. I took a chance on it. It's called the social impact space. And it really is about being able to be of service and helping others accelerate into youth employment. And that is why I've signed up to be here today. But it really is not about me and what I can do for you. It is about you and what you can get out of these webinars. There will be a series, as you have heard, and we'll communicate those dates to you closer to the time. So I am hoping that you are settled and you're comfortable and that you can hear us clearly. And you will see me going on and off camera, not because I don't want you to see me, but it's also to allow you to focus on the speakers that we have on the platform and that are also here to come and be of service to you. So each speaker has their own je ne sais quoi, their own tone, they got their own, fragrance. So we'll take each speaker for what they have to offer today and what they can do for all of you, okay? So we've got 3 speakers and there'll be a Q&A session right at the end. So I hope that you're feeling comfortable and you are ready for what's coming your way quite shortly. Okay, cool. So I think for me, as I get started for this first speaker, I've got a couple of notes that I want to make mention. I don't want to misrepresent the person or anything like that, but it's also important for me to communicate that there's 10 minutes allocated to each speaker. And so I'll be on cue, keeping them accountable and also making sure we respect your time. And so each speaker will get 10 minutes, and then right at the end, 10 minutes will be allocated for the Q&A. And that's what we really want to do with all of you, okay? So yeah, I've got my first speaker, and it's a gentleman that's cool and calm. He's such a cool and calm. I met him recently, and he goes by the name of Reese Pillay, and I think honored is an appropriate term to use. We're honored to have Reese with us today and joining us from KZN. And Reese, just like you, is an alumni of the BEEI program. And having been an assistant in phase 1 and phase 2, his experience in the program allowed him to make the move into entrepreneurship. And Reese is the founder and sole director of Asake Plumbing and Maintenance, which he has been running for the past 3 years. And I think a little bit about his background. I'm not going to reveal his age because I feel like, we want to still keep it, private in a small way. But he is the founder of this business and he studied to be in this space. And he's obtained his trade test through what they call the Department of Higher Education and a qualified trade test plumber based in Port Shepstone. So we have got KZN in the house, and anyone from KZN, I hope you're going to feel this one. And he's gained valuable experience at that municipality where he served for an internship and built a strong technical foundation. We need these skills, guys. We really do. And he was also part of the BEEI program, as I've mentioned before, and he served at the school St. Martin de Porres Comprehensive School between 2020 and 2022, where he further developed his skills and work ethic. So he's done the work, he's put in the effort, and I'm hoping that you also get some value out of that today. So I want to say, Reese, thank you for joining us today. And I look forward to hearing what you have to share with everyone today. Can you hear us clearly? Are you comfortable on your side? Let's just get a sense if you are also ready to go live. There we go. I can see you. Welcome, Reese. Over to you, sir.
Hi, how are you? I hope you're well.
Good, thank
My
you,
name
man.
is Keith. I'm from Potchefstroom. My age is 26 years old. I'm not afraid to say it. Uh, yeah, so it's really an honor and a privilege to be here to speak on my past experience on phase one and phase two of the BEI program. Um, I've been a part of phase one from 2020 up till 2022. And then I furthered on into opening up my own business, Asake Plumbing and Maintenance, where I am the sole director of the business. Um, I've also ventured out from just plumbing and a bit of maintenance into subcontracting as well. So I'm on that path where I've grown a lot more. Um, just a little bit of my experience with the BEI program. Um, When I started off as a general assistant, so a GA. So I was placed at St. Martin's de Porres School in Potchefstroom. The principal, Mr. Dion Davies, was my pilot there. I really appreciate him for giving me the opportunity. Um, what I'd like to say and what I'd like to touch on is the experiences. A lot of us, when we are a bit younger, we we have a different kind of vision of where we want to see ourselves in the next 5, 10 years. And it doesn't necessarily go to plan like the way we see it. So you shouldn't stress about that. Like I never see myself being a part of this program. And I took the opportunity, I took the chance. Uh, I was at the school for 2 years. I started off with like minor repairs to the school, like carpentry and a bit of painting, some small plumbing and stuff like that. And it wasn't always that easy to persevere and to motivate yourself because, like I said, like you're a plumber and then you're now an assistant, so you're doing a lot of other things as well. So I I took that opportunity to grow myself into something that I wanted to be, which was an entrepreneur. And I've gained over the 2 years a lot of experience, not only in the plumbing field, but in life as a whole. Um, I, I've learned a lot of different trades in there, like in the aspect of painting and then your tiling and your carpentry. So that took me to another level. And I've also realized while working there that being an assistant is not only like sticking to my field, but helping in the school kitchen, or you have to help them drive the school vehicle around or do some kind of errands and stuff. So I took that upon me as an initiative to give back as well because it was a special needs school. And I I think from there, towards the end of my term, I I had decided that I want to be an entrepreneur, that I want to open up my own business. So I got the name Asake, which means let us build. So I started Asake Plumbing and Maintenance. And from there, I was just doing like small work, like plumbing, some tiling, carpentry here and there. I was just trying to get some income, grow the business, see where it takes me. So from there, I got a few more uh, business opportunities where I was invited to subcontract work. So from my subcontracting of work, I used the skills that I learned through the BEI program, where the school had sent us to do our health and safety, our firefighting and first aid. And I used that into my business, and uh, I had to take it from there. a little bit further and I started putting myself out there. I was not just a plumber, but a multi-skill with the skills the school has taught me. So, yeah. So from there, it's been 3 years that I'm self-employed. I have not just done plumbing, but like I said, contracting as a whole. And I think when I started the contracting, I wasn't too sure if I'd be able to handle it. But with the experience that I've gained, I took that and I turned it into something that I never thought that I could achieve. So I've been doing this for 3 years now. I think myself personally, I have grown a lot more. Whereas just starting off as a plumber, I'm now a contractor. I'm doing now at the moment, I've done a lot of sub work, which includes a lot of work where I have to get local labor. So that's where I give back to the communities and I create job creation for the youth who are unemployed in our rural areas. So that's just a bit about me and my experiences. BEI has taken me out from the small, just not just from the small town where I've traveled for work. And I've been out there now for the past 3 years through BEI. And it's really changed the game for me. Uh, so I think for whoever else is doing this general assistant work or part of the BEI program itself, that you should not be discouraged with the tasks you're given, but you should learn to take it as a learning step going forward. And you should you should learn from it, be open to learn, be open to serving before you can be a leader. Because I think a lot of our youth are not really open to serving first. We just wanna spring up. And that's some really good advice that we should take from our elders as like where we should serve first and then learn how to lead from them. So I have prepared a small slideshow which I would like to present to you guys. And along the slideshow, will decide to pause here and there, and I'll explain to you the work that I've done. Thank you. So this is my business card. These are my small jobs that I do, my day-to-day jobs. You can see general toilets. There's some toilets and some tiling done. This was a bathroom that I've done, completely renovated into a walk-in shower. This is a house with tiling. I've employed new staff. This is one of our rural areas. You can pause it here for me, please. Right, so the previous slide where it showed the school, that job was subcontracted to me. And those schools there, I have employed actually up to 10 youth that just finished school with no skills, no source of income. So I've taken them in and not only given them a job, but taught them how to do some plumbing, basic plumbing, how to do some waterproofing, fix roofs, fix classroom windows, do some tiling, painting. So that's what I've done. And we can continue with the slides, please. This was another school where I've actually converted the long drop toilets, the pit toilets, and I've given them water, and now they have flushable toilets. So that was giving back to the community, giving them water. That was a drainage done for one of the schools, a subcontracted. As you can see, septic tanks are done there. This is all done by my team with local labor. Up to 10 job creations per project. each youth had got an income of up to 10,000 Rand over a period of like a month and a half, so 6 weeks. Then if you just pause that last slide there with the aircon. Recently, I've had one of my friends who are unemployed, and he's a professional, he's a trade tested aircon guy. So I took him in, and I actually started off another division of my business where I installed aircons, which this guy who never have a job now has a job by installing aircons for me. So that's how I've diversified just from doing a mainstream plumbing, fixing taps, to doing big jobs, not only in plumbing, but in construction, in a totally different, bigger industry, creating jobs as well for the youth so they can get source of income, teaching them skills besides my plumbing, but tiling, painting, you name it. So that's been my journey just on the start of BEI. Thank you.
Oh, Reese. I mean, I don't know if you saw all the hearts coming your way. I want to throw some hearts your way. What an incredible story. And you talked about the fact that people got to earn, 10,000 Rand over the period of 6 weeks, and you have contributed to that. So I'm incredibly proud of you. I mean, I feel so honored to even know you. And, when I met you and I got to hear a little bit about your story, but this really just took it right off the head. Thank you for paying it forward. Thank you for believing in others the same way others believed in you. Like you said, the principle was really instrumental for you. And even like that you highlighted, or I've personally believed that, there's like this blue collar thing happening, blue collar jobs. And sometimes someone once said that, an opportunity is dressed up in an overall. So kudos to you. Well done, sir. I respect you so, so much to do the work that you do. And I trust and believe that your business will continue to grow and expand, that you'll continue to help more and more young people. And I think you're making it look cool again, you're making it look attractive again. And that's so important. So kudos to you, man. I'm really, really, really chuffed, and I'm running out of words because it's just so incredible. So thank you, Reese. And I see that the hearts are coming your way. It's a beautiful presentation, and a reminder to our audience to please throw in those questions in the Q&A. If you want to start this business, remember that's in Port Shepstone. That means this business is needed right across the country. And if you think you got what it takes, I think that's a great opportunity to ask Reese some questions. So my responsibility is to keep the ship going, keep it going. And I'm going to check that I can then do that with you. So take it in. Reese was amazing. That was brilliant. That was in less than 15 minutes. And there's still more coming away. This webinar is going to continue to surprise you. This next individual is so confident. I heard her chat and speak a little bit in our session, and it's listen to this, Mandela Washington Fellow, a Crans Montana Young Leader alumni, and a Mail-in Guardian top 200 young South African. I feel a little bit of a chills there, like goosebumps. He's also an alumni of the Desmond and Leah Tutu Foundation, Leading for Humanity. So this individual is invested, they're committed, and they beyond proving themselves. She manages a colleague volunteering at ABSA, leading Pan-Africanist initiatives focused on skills-based volunteering and social impact as part of the group's corporate citizenship strategy. Zintle specializes in designing social interventions, leveraging corporate resources development, and measuring sustainable outcomes. I'm beginning to wonder, where did this individual find the time or the energy? Because it's a lot. It's a lot in a good way. I was like, where did this individual? So the passion is clear. There's definitely a passion for youth, a passion for entrepreneurship, a passion for sustainability. Zintle, we are at your mercy. We are so glad that you've taken the time to be with us today. And we're so glad that you are here. I now want to give you 10 to 15 minutes to shine, as you've shined so many times before. So over to you, Zintle Razia.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, and good afternoon, everyone. Going after Reese is a bit difficult, so proud of the work that he has done, and thank you for enabling me to be on this platform today. My name, as mentioned, is Zintle Khazia, and I work at ABSA Group within the corporate social investment space, CSI space. and I'm very passionate about young people, as mentioned. I believe that young people have the power to change socioeconomic dynamics, and I've almost invested my entire life around making sure that young people's voices are heard. So my role here today is to really speak to you around the pathway to formal employment. And one of the areas that I've managed to learn in my journey is the importance of being bold and staying teachable, having a teachable spirit. And I think oftentimes there's this misconception that your journey will be set after you graduate, but it's not. It's not linear. The journey is one that comes with ups and downs. And my journey has been a journey of ups and downs, but remaining humble, teachable has really enabled me to get into some of the rooms, conversations, leaders that I've engaged with, which I never thought would have been part of my path. I come from the Eastern Cape. I was born and raised in the Eastern Cape. And, you know, in the Eastern Cape, one of the biggest challenges that the province faces is huge unemployment rates. And I was raised by my mother, my grandmother. I have lots of siblings. There's about 10 of us at home. And, you know, my story is not unique, but I've always had this drive inside of me that has been willing to start, even without having all the answers. And I think when you have that growth mindset, it enables you to then show up for opportunities that will lead you to better employment prospects and employability. One of the things that I hold dear is that in every space that I'm in, I hope to leave it better than I found it. And that does not necessarily have to be anything grand. It can be a small act, but putting your heart into it is very important. And that's something that I think a lot of young people, if you have that mindset of being, you know, growth driven, you will go far in life and people will open up to you. As I've mentioned, my journey was not linear. You know, I come from about a family of 10, and I'm the youngest daughter in my family. And I've always been quite entrepreneurial at school. And so my parents thought, you know, she must go study accounting. But I said to them, no, that's not what I want to do. And I chose to go on a different path. So I chose to listen to myself, my inner voice, and I went and I studied politics and media. And I don't know, with a lot of parents, you know, the question is, are you going to make money? Are you going to make money if you are in the socioeconomic development space? And I mean, this was quite some time ago. I didn't know if I was going to make, you know, a living or not, but I chose to follow what I believed in, and the, you know, prospects opened up because I believed in myself. When I was at university, you know, lo and behold, I thought straight after graduating, I would be able to find a job. And I didn't. I wasn't able to find a job. So I decided to go back and do my honors. And I thought after that, now it's going to be easy for me to get, you know, into formal employment. And I didn't get a job even after doing my postgraduate. So I then decided, okay, what can I do? And I went on an entrepreneurial journey for about 5 years after university. And that was not an easy journey. I was not earning as much as my peers were. I didn't have the, you know, aspects of being able to have an apartment, a car, which a lot of my friends had. I had to live at home for quite some time, but I always knew that there was something in me that was bigger than myself. And as part of that, in being in the entrepreneurial space, I went into an industry according to what I had studied for my honors, which was the green economy, so renewable energy. And I started a business with my sister, and it went well, but not as well as we had anticipated. But we didn't give up there. And part of what we then did was we kept knocking on different doors. And we knocked on one door, and it was with the CEO of a very big private bank in South Africa. And he invited us over for a breakfast meeting with some of his partners. And in that meeting, someone saw something in me. And they said, no, we need to bet on this girl. And they did that. And my whole entire journey shifted from there. But before even that had happened, I had always been, self-driven. In the time of, being unemployed and not really figuring it out, I applied for fellowships. The Mandela Washington Fellowship was one of the first fellowships I was invited to, and put yourself out there in your road to employability, because you never really know what the other side will look like. And today I work for a big bank, and in my work I am still developing young people, also supporting our employees and our colleagues internally, and driving socioeconomic response, not only in South Africa, but having a level of influence in our different markets as well. So what I think for me is something that stood out is that one step led to another. Even when I felt I was not ready, I didn't think I had the confidence to speak to the certain leaders that I was exposed to, but being able to put myself out there despite not having certainty made me realize that some opportunities come your way even before you are ready. And it's good to take opportunities even when you think that it's not the right time, because that leads to a multiplier effect in terms of, where you will end up. As I've mentioned, I think what's quite important is being able to be teachable, and you learn as you grow. I've had the opportunity to get into certain roles, even though I thought that I was not qualified enough, but because I had a teachable spirit to learn from the leaders, and I still am learning continuously from the leaders that are, leading execution in various ways within the areas in which we operate in, that has helped me to continue to be a student. And I think when you, as assistants, you impart the knowledge that you have on your students, and it's very important to have a learning spirit. Being teachable doesn't make you weak, because sometimes people might want to walk in a room and you say you know it all. And what I've learned in this journey that I've had is that when you have a teachable spirit, it makes you unstoppable, because you're constantly learning, you're constantly figuring out new things, you're constantly innovating. And that is something that is very important as you walk your journey into employability. I think it's very important to be bold, even when it's uncomfortable. Sometimes you may be the only voice in the room that is going maybe against what everybody else is saying. But I think, what you need to understand is fear is normal, but courage is action. So part of the learnings that I picked up from the Desmond and Leah Tutu Foundation is that courageous leadership is what we need in this country, in this continent. Young people that are willing to take action. And I think that is how we're going to change the dynamics of the communities that we come from. As mentioned, I come from the Eastern Cape, in a very rural town called Mthatha. But from being a rural girl coming from Mthatha, to global stages where I've had the opportunity to be on a panel discussion with Prof. Tuli Madonzela. The organization that I work for, APSA, has given me opportunities to tell the story around how we're driving financial inclusion through entrepreneurship. Means that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. So scaling with purpose does need boldness. And I often think about the youth of 1976. So of course, I'm a political science graduate, so I'll always go back to some of the themes and areas and times that have framed my thinking. And I always go back to the young people of 1976 who stood for change. And I think one of the things that the young people need as they journey into pathways of employment is to have that courage mindset, is to be bold and to speak up even when you may be uncomfortable to do so, and to stand for the right things. Ethical leadership is one of the areas that I'm very passionate about. And you make mistakes. When I started working, I made a lot of mistakes. And sometimes you don't want to expose those mistakes. But one of the leaders that believed in me taught me a very important lesson, and that is be accountable, having a spirit of accountability and knowing when you are wrong. Self-reporting actually takes you a long way because it shows that you're ethical and honest. I think for me, one of the most important things is that Africa's youth is a multiplier opportunity. 60% of young people on the continent are below the ages of 25. This means that it's potential, right? We have so much potential in our young people. So I always advocate that as you're on your journey, involve yourself in policy spaces. What is happening in policies? There's the B10, 20 and G20 happening now, but start from where you are and prepare yourself to lead and not just attend. So don't be in a room just because you want to be counted as a number, but be there because you want your voice to be heard. And what I find to be also quite interesting is that, young people have the tenacity to shape the world. And whether your influence is small or big, you're playing a part in a macroeconomic effect. I think 3 things, practical anchors, and I know we're out of time. My colleagues often say to me, Zinhle, you can go on and on and on. So I'll really try to succinct it and get to the point. Guys, be open-minded, but also filter what you take in. Be very cognizant of what you take in, even though you're keeping a growth mindset. For me, in this journey of employment, as I've mentioned, it was not linear. It was not only through my efforts, it was people believing in me, myself putting myself out there, myself speaking even when my voice is shaking, but also having built a support system of mentors, peers, people that have been able to tell me that, no, this was not the right route, and being able to learn from some of those mistakes as I then impart that for the other young people that I really work with. And invest in yourself. Inner work is important, and oftentimes people won't say that personal mastery is very important. Being intuitive, knowing who you are, and just being true to yourself. As I've mentioned, I'm not ashamed to say that I come from Mthatha in the spaces that I work in, and my heritage is very important to me. And there are no prepackaged solutions, but if you commit to growth, you will grow. As I've mentioned, people who inspire me, I haven't forgotten about where I come from, the movement that I've come from, the leaders who have led before us, who challenged the status quo. And one of the quotes I heard when I was nominated for the Mail and Guardian Top 200 Young South Africans is that I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. And I'm not rising just for myself, but to hopefully ignite possibility in others. Lessons I hold close to my heart is that to lead, you must be willing to serve, to build legacy, and be fearless. Impact is about how many rise with you. So it's not just about the self, but how many other people you rise with you on your journey. And purpose and resilience turn obstacles into fuel. As I've mentioned, APSA is an organization that I work for, doing a lot of work around societal impact and financial inclusion through entrepreneurship. So the call to action is be bold enough to start, stay teachable as you grow, use your voice in the schools, in policy, and community, and see yourself as a builder of a better South Africa. Thanks so much for listening in. That's it. Thank you.
Inkosiva Mtase, Zintle, all the way from the Eastern Cape. Thank you so much. You're getting some beautiful hearts coming your way. You've done incredibly well. We are proud of you. Thank you for waving the flag high for young people. Thank you for paying it forward. And thank you for saying that, yeah, we can do amazing work and we can do great things. And you did not make your age an issue. So thank you, Zintle. Well done. Yeah, we've got a lot of schools tuning in today. So a colleague of mine was saying, yep, there's schools tuning in and you guys are letting us know that your schools are present. And if I may, with your permission, I'll quickly try and mention one or two, but it's so hard because there is so many schools logged in today, and I'm glad that you've joined us. I'm trying to find one or two school names, just one or two that I can say. There we go. Wesley Methodist Practicing School is here. Blue Ridge Primary joined. There's so many schools logged in today. Outfor Primary School has joined too. Hillside Primary School is here. Um, there is so many schools, so we want to say shout out to every single one of you. Thank you for being with on the webinar today. This is not just about your personal story or leading to hear about these personal stories, but it's also then taking a page out of someone else's book. And that's what our purpose is here today, to make sure that you are getting the support that you need. You could be like Reese and start a business. You could potentially be like Zintle and just become an incredible an ambassador for young people, be a part of politics. We don't have enough young people that are interested and invested in politics. You never know where your journey can take you. There I see more schools coming in. Freda List, Harold, Rudzani Primary School, St. Teresa. We see you guys. Okay. But I've got a good colleague here today, a person that's volunteered. You know, when you hear the volunteer word, people always run away from that word. And I want to say to everyone today on the call that volunteering is what got this individual their next opportunity, right? And she goes by the name of Cassie Chambers, an operations director for the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. And Cassie started at the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, get this, as a volunteer and a telephone counselor in the call center, helping to man the suicide crisis helpline over 18 years ago. I suspect there's a storyline behind that, Cassie. And later she ran the call center and press, and currently is the operations director and board member, not board member, emphasis. Cassie represents the SADC at national and international conferences. So we're bringing you not just local, we're bringing you international spokespersons here today at various press and media interviews, workshops, and advocacy projects to help fight for patients' rights and destigmatize mental health across the country. So this is a very personal topic for me. I know someone in my family that struggled with mental health, and I'm sure you've known someone in your family struggled with mental health, and I'm sure you're aware that living in South Africa and dealing with the working world and dealing with dynamics in the workplace and family dynamics, it can be a lot. So Cassie, thank you for literally giving your entire life to this career. I don't know how you do it and what keeps you going, but thank you for gracing us with your presence today. I'll be taking some notes from your presentation, and we look forward to what we can learn from your life today. So over to you, Cassie.
Sure. What an introduction and what an opportunity. Thank you so much for welcoming me. And it's been such an amazing session. I think the universe speaks to us and brings us things when we need it the most. And it's just so great to hear these stories and have this inspiration, because even at 40 years old, I can still get inspiration from people. And Jonna, you mentioned I did start off as a volunteer, young, naive. I think I even joked before, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as a volunteer, working at SADC with the thoughts initially that I was going to become a psychologist, and getting involved in the NGO sector and seeing the kind of difference that we get to make. I think it's been a huge privilege and honor that I get to do something that I love. And I think even just that wording. You know, we're trained in South Africa when we talk about the work that we do, the work we have to do, the traffic we have to do. But this is the work that I get to do, and I get to do it with an amazing group of volunteers, other people who selflessly give up to help others, and team members who always go above and beyond. So I'm very honored and very grateful, and with great responsibility comes great impact. And I think that's a lot of what we're talking about today. So yes, I've been with the organization for a long time and learned so much and so much diversity. And that's really, really helped that now, so many years later, I'm able to give back and to learn and help mentor other young people. I think, again, where I'm coming in, talking from the mental health side, which is something that I think is incredibly important and all of us can take something from today. I hope that you leave today's session with just one tip or tool that you can start practicing. I know in our world, whether it be your space, your workplace, your families, your communities, even the country, but even at the moment around the world, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of pressure, there's often a lot of heaviness. And I'm hoping that you can leave today with a little bit of sense of getting some help to look after your mental health. Because being a young person in South Africa, it's very overwhelming. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of people looking at you to do things. And I think this is where, for the next 10 minutes, and I might talk really fast, is that you get to focus on your mental health, because your mental health really does matter, whether it be today, tomorrow, or in 10, 20 years' time when you're on the webinar inspiring the next generation. If we can all take something today, that would be really useful. When we look at the stats about South Africa around mental health, 1 in 3 South Africans will or do have a mental health issue at some point in their lifetime. Further to that, even at SADAG, we run the country's only suicide crisis helpline and 30 helplines that provide free telephone counseling. We get over 3,000 calls per day from people all over South Africa, and the majority of those calls are from youth, young people like you and me, who are reaching out, who are feeling overwhelmed, they can't cope, they're struggling, and they need to talk to someone. And this is why today, for the next 9 minutes, we get to focus on mental health. So when we look at some of the key issues around mental health and mental illness, I've shared some of the stats, but while not everyone has a mental illness, we all have mental health. Mental health is our general state of mind and mind well-being, something that all of us should be looking after, just like we look after our physical health. Mental illness, which we've often heard as depression, anxiety, panic, trauma, it's something that affects the way that we think, affects the way that we feel, the way that we behave and respond to the world around us. But again, even if you haven't been diagnosed by a doctor or a psychologist or a social worker with a mental illness, we all have mental health, and we should all be doing something every day to look after our mental health, to help prevent it leading to things like stress or burnout or depression or anxiety, but also to role model looking after our mental health and normalizing that it's okay to talk about mental health. It's okay to talk about our problems. And this big shout out, especially coming out to the men in the audience, where we've created this generation of young men who are not okay to talk about their feelings and their problems. And we're saying it's really important that we do. So how we talk about mental health is incredibly important to how we create conversations, how we create safe spaces. And here are some examples of what to say and what not to say. And this is something that even myself, after working for so many years in the sector, I learn every day. And it's an intentional practice. But what it does is, if we use the right words and create those safe spaces, people in your friend circle, in your household, in your teams, in the companies that you work in, your groups that you're part of, the schools that you're part of, get to learn that you are a safe person to talk to, that you understand, and that someone could open up. And the value of having a safe space in our today's crazy world is so critical, to let someone know that it's okay not to be okay, but they can talk to you and get that help. So we don't refer to it as schizophrenic person. There's a depressed person. but there's someone who has schizophrenia, or there's someone who has depression. In the same way that we don't say, oh, there's a diabetic, there's a person with diabetes. So it's really important that we're just mindful of the words that we use, especially in the spaces that we can, to let people know that talking about mental health is okay. I wanted to slowly touch on a little bit of the common mental health issues that we might hear about, know about, and maybe even if you wanted to go through and see if any of these signs and symptoms might relate to maybe yourself, someone that you know, someone that you work with, because I think the more that we're aware of the signs and symptoms and what to look out for, the more we know how to help ourselves and other people. So stress is very common. We all talk about stress. There's good stress and bad stress. Good stress helps us to perform, to push harder, to meet that deadline, to study and cram in all that information before a test or a big deadline. But also having too much stress and not enough resources to cope can lead to bad stress. Bad stress impacts our thinking, it impacts our sleep, our eating, our mood, our relationships, and even our overall day-to-day functioning. Too much bad stress can lead to things what we've heard about like burnout, where burnout is that it impacts your functioning totally, where you can't get out of bed in the morning, you don't even want to go to work, you don't want to go see friends and family, you don't want to do anything, you just want to stay in your cocoon in the darkness. When that happens, it's a big red flag, and that's when we know to get help. And I think we hear about burnout and stress in the press and media, and it's become very common, and common in the sense of we're celebrating like a badge of honor that it's good to be stressed, it's good to work late, it's good to work yourself to burnout. And I think as young people, we see that in our companies and our corporate cultures, it's not good to have a culture of burnout. And I think this is where you as young people are part of that change, to say, no, my mental health is important. If I look after my mental health, I can make sure that I show up and do the best that I can possibly do. Some of the symptoms of stress, and we often forget some of the physical symptoms, because mental health is not just something in our head, but there are physical symptoms. There's a change in sleeping habits where maybe you're sleeping too much or too little, or you feel tired the whole time. There's also tension in your neck, headaches, backaches, stomach problems. A lot of those symptoms can also come out. It's that feeling with stress or anxiety as if you've got a knot in your stomach all the time. Here's just an example, and you're welcome to take a screenshot. And I know that all these slides and resources will be made available to you as well on the platform, so you can go back and read. And I'm so sorry to rush this, but I promise you there'll be more time to cover this. If you're thinking and asking yourself now where you're sitting, are you feeling stressed, or is it really burnout? These are some of the ways that you can determine if it's just stress. How do I fix it? How do I get help? How do I look after myself? Or is it burnout? I have some bigger questions to ask myself and bigger changes to do. Burnout can lead, if untreated and undiagnosed, can lead to serious physical or chronic illness. We see spikes in chronic illness. We see spikes in mental health issues. So we want to try and treat burnout as soon as possible. And unfortunately, in the work that SADAG does, we're seeing more and more young people who are pushing and burning out sooner. Here are some signs and symptoms of depression. And I just wanted to focus on the fact that it's not just someone crying. It's someone who's thinking about depression, physical signs and symptoms. There's the behavior of it. And if you feel like you're having symptoms of depression for longer than 2 weeks, please reach out for help. I've spoken a little bit about anxiety, and again, there's good and bad anxiety, but it's also important to realize that these are real issues that we're dealing with. And here are some of the signs and symptoms that, again, you can question, is this me? Is this someone that I know of? We talk about mental health on the spectrum, and the easiest way is to say, am I in the green zone or am I in the red zone? And I think to really check in with ourselves to say, where do I fit? Do I need help? How do I get the help that I need? And this is where SADAG comes in. The first thing is for us to all just accept and to say out loud and remind ourselves every single day that it's okay not to be okay, but that there is help available in your workplaces, in your employee assistance programs, in your communities. but also through SADAG for free. No strings attached, as you can phone us 24/7 and get help and resources. But you can also role model this behavior and this help in the spaces that you're in as youth leaders. It's creating those safe spaces in the places that you work with, the teams that you work with. And here are just some examples. I think I'm really urging people to really look after yourself and put on your own oxygen mask so that you can make sure you can look after all the people around you, especially when I see so many people from schools. You've got so many people who are depending on you and relying on you. We have to make sure that we look after you. Here are some tips and tools of what you can do every day to look after your mental health. And it can only take 60 seconds, and you can do it quietly without ever having other people to know. There are so many different ideas, and you could even follow SADAG on social media to get your daily tip of how to look after your mental health. Sometimes having a toolbox of ideas and tools and tips of go-to can help you, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed. When your mental health is struggling, it can really impact every aspect of your life. There's different ways that you can do a mental health check-in, just asking yourself, how am I feeling right now? What am I thinking about? What am I stressing about the most? And rating your mental health from 1 to 10 helps you to check in with yourself, but you also get to role model that for people around you. I know I'm rushing through, but please know that these will be in the slides. I know my time is up, and I just wanted you to have a look that there are tips and tools that we'll make available to you on what to say to someone that you're worried about, what not to say to someone that you're worried about, and how to start that conversation. Because often we're quite scared to start a conversation about, I'm worried about you. Are you okay? What I wanted to share, the most important part, is the free resources. We have our website with webinars, recordings, brochures, posters, so many resources that you can use and share and learn from. I love seeing so many people who are working with other young people. We have so many toolkits that you can access, and webinars and training, all for free, that you can use and share in your space. We also have support groups, and we have them across the country. We have over 200 support groups, from everything from young graduates to depression in the workplace, to teachers, to caregivers. Please go have a look at our website, and you can access all this information for free. You never know when maybe you, a colleague, or even a family member might need that help. As I'm ending off, and thank you so much for your patience, I really want you to know that there is always help. And there is always hope, and you are not alone. We have our helpline services. We're available on WhatsApp, on SMS, on social media. The most important thing is that you reach out for help. And as I promise you, I'm ending, I just wanted to mention that all of you just giving up the time today to join is already part of the change that we want to see in the world. And that hope is being able to see that there is light despite all the darkness. And all of you are that light for yourselves and everyone around you. Thank you.
Oh man, drops mic, Cassie. The hearts have not stopped coming your way, and yeah, so much advice, so much insights, and I consider them all invaluable. So thank you for everyone for putting in your questions and your comments in the chats and in Zoom. There was a particular comment there for you, Cassie, that I think you'll appreciate. One of the schools actually just said, you know what, on behalf of Naturana Primary School, we are very impressed with the emphasis on mental health. Our mental health matters as assistants. So thank you, Cassie. If you ever doubted, there you got your feedback. And thank you for that school for even putting it so, just saying it out loud. We are at 14:24, and we'll wrap up by the end of 14:30. I know some of the schools are closed, and assistants are saying, "Can we go home?" We understand the YouTube video will be available beyond that, but I also don't want to just end abruptly. I want to give each panelist one more time to say something, and just to maybe just share their closing remarks. I don't want to be too prescriptive, so I'm going to ask Reese, Zintle, and I see Cassie's already on screen, to just leave maybe one or two remarks that you feel like, you wanted to say this, but you couldn't get to say it. I'd like to give you that opportunity now. So Reese, if you can hear me and if you can see me, It will be really helpful. It might be on my side that I can't see you, but maybe you are there. There we go. There you go. You are there. You are there. There we go. You see, our webinar people are working very hard behind the scenes to bring us to the main screen. There we go, Reese. Mr. Pillay, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, giving other young people opportunities, what are your closing remarks for being here today?
Well, I would just like to encourage the youth and the up and coming business owners that it's not very easy starting off, but if you persevere and if you push through, there is really a bright future ahead. Like I said, I never know where that was going to take me, from being an assistant to being a contractor, and you've seen some of the work that I've done. But you should just stick in there, should never give up. Sometimes things don't go according to plan, but you have to be open-minded, you have to adjust, you have to find innovative ways, you know. So yeah, just keep pushing through. There is
You know,
something at the end of the tunnel.
You know what's so cool about you, Reese? You're just real, man. You're not even trying. You're just being yourself, and I think that's what your superpower is. So thank you for being real with us today, for doing work that many people would look down on. But you put so much dignity, so much pride, so much passion into it. And it's a need. They often tell us when you're going to start a business, you must solve a problem. And you solve the problem that's right under our nose, or maybe even in our nose in a very unpleasant way. So thank you for that, for your work, Reese. I want to go to Zintle. Zintle, you are our top 200 young South African, and you've done so much. I don't know what are you going to say to us that helps us to just get like 2% of the good that you've done in the world as a humanitarian? Yeah.
Thanks so much, Jonathan. I would say that start small. For me, like I mentioned, the journey is never one straight line. It's not linear. Reach out to people that you admire, put yourself out there, have a growth mindset. Do not be limited by or constrained by, challenges that you have faced. And even like when I got the Mail and Guardian top 200, I never thought, I didn't think it would happen. And there's a book I read a few years ago called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and the 10,000 hours all add up. So don't forget about your 10,000 hours.
Dude, that's
Thanks.
power. The hours, the 10,000 hours add up. Don't forget. That is really good. That means put in the work, basically. It's not a cute quote. It's a quote that says put in the work. Yeah, 100%. Thank you for being just so straight to the point and hitting the nail on the head. Cassie, help us, because man, it's not a competition, it's not a race. We're all trying to stay on our own journeys.
Mm.
But when I listen to incredible people like this that have not given up, they've put their thing in, what is different about Zintle and Reese that maybe the every other day young person is not seeing? What can you tell them to say that you can too do this? Yeah.
Mm. I think in a world where it can often feel quite heavy and hard, I think it's having to be really focused on what your goals are and being really intentional. I think also using those opportunities and even just believing in yourself, especially when there's maybe people around you that don't. And I think often we're our own first real critics, and we can often hold ourselves back. And I think Zincle and Reese are evidence that we can do it, and everyone has that kind of potential, and all you have to do is start today. And I think as young people, we often feel like we're the only ones dealing with that problem or that issue or that struggle, but to know that you are not alone, and we've got evidence of that. And I think it's focusing more on those positives and using that as your guiding light. And everyone who's joined today in the panel, I mean, what a great example of that. I think for anyone who does feel alone, my biggest message is that there is always help and there's always support. You just have to look. And if you need to find that opportunity, it's out there. Talk and talk and talk until someone listens. Don't give up.
Talk and talk until someone listens, and don't give up. You're not alone. There's power in that. Thank you, Cassie. And yeah, thank you for our speakers. I'm not seeing you in person, so I can't give you like a hamper, but please take our words of kindness and celebratory as a gift. And thank you for paying it forward. If you want to follow or you want to access any of the material from today, WhatsApp hi. I'll say the number once, 0600. Oh, no. Let me repeat. 060 060 060 3333. I'll say it again for the people at the back. 060 060 3333 and click connect. And all the information today is under one webinar section on the bot. So our next webinar will be in October. We're in September now, so stay tuned for that one. Until we meet again, all the best for those kiddies at the schools, high schools, primary schools. We wish you luck. And look at these guys. You can make it out of there, and you can do great work beyond that space. And thank you for being a part of shaping the future of our country. Have a great day further, everyone. Let today enjoy you. Your life is a gift. My name